Like, think about laying in a bed and no email.
And no cell phone.
No phone. You can't touch your nose. Then so what do? You think your life and about all the things that you would do different. And I tell you, a lot of hours go by in a month and a half when you have no disruption, no emails, no people pulling at you, no 70, 80 hour a week. Believe me, you do some major soul searching and reevaluating on what's important and what's not. And I came out of the hospital and the first thing I said was, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I'd be dead in a year from now if it didn't happen to me.
Thank you for coming. Thanks for making it. You made it up the stairs. You're walking. You're climbing stairs. Thank everybody for coming.
That was the longest flight of stairs.
Yeah, I could tell going up as you those last 3 or 4 steps. Oh, I knew something was. I couldn't tell at the beginning when you were walking up, but I could tell in those last 3 or 4. So thanks again for coming. I appreciate. Did anybody come from a ways away?
I flew in.
No.
But I live here.
Okay, yeah.
I did do a lot to
Grass Valley?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
do a lot to
And where'd you guys come in from? Granite Bay. You're close, man. This is nothing. How about you? How far did you come?
England, but I've been here 3 years.
I love it. Flew in.
Well, I came from Philippines.
Roseville? Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe you came the furthest. Anyway, welcome. I really want to know entrepreneurs. It's one of the most motivational things for me is being around entrepreneurs, especially those entrepreneurs that have that passion for really changing where they're at today and building big dreams. So I'm Mark Haney, and I think that's where I'm at. I sold my companies about 8 years ago. And now I have a big dream. We had a $1 billion dream at the time, and it turned out that it wasn't in the cards for me to continue with the company. We merged with another company that was a couple $100 million, so to put together a $400 million company, sold it, started going on a roll-up strategy, and it got corporate, so I bounced and decided that I wanted to do something different. I've been spending the last 7 or 8 years trying to figure out what I want to do, and now I know. I wanted to do something that most people would think was impossible, which is to ignite an entrepreneurial revolution in this government town that we live in, this cow town. I think we can become an entrepreneurial town. So that's kind of what I'm focused on my back nine, and I'm having fun. And so glad to meet you. I'm one of those people that came. I live like 6 miles away. I'm 6 steps away from my desk. CrossFit is across the street. Everything for me is like step minimization. So everything reduce. Everybody else trying to get more steps in. I'm more like get less steps in, keep it in my hometown, and try to help this my friends, my family in this town that raised me. That's me.
cliche, but I'm sorry. What is your why?
I think I want to do something that makes my son proud. I sold my companies 2010, March 15th, in fact.
That's my birthday.
Really? That's my son's birthday, too. So 2 years later, on my son's birthday, he deployed to Afghanistan, and about a month and a half later, he had his first child. His wife had his first child, and then about another month and a half later, he was shot in the leg in Afghanistan. And a number of his buddies didn't come back. Others got it pretty bad. He's okay, got shot in the leg. But for me, it was like, okay, you know, we had started this charitable organization around, you know, helping veterans, and it was like, I got to do something important with my life, because if people like yourself like my son, the firefighters, the police officers, the people working in the emergency rooms 24/7. It's like there are people that are doing things way beyond me and what I'm doing. So how could I do something important in my life, something important enough where my son goes, you know what, Dad, I'm proud of you. So that's really where I'm at. Is I got to do something that makes a mark, that makes him feel like, you know what, Dad, I'm proud of you.
Around stress, actually.
The one thing that I didn't really, touch on was I read a book. When I read a book, I usually listen to them on audio. I'll listen to them if I find a good one, I'll listen to it over and over and over again. And there's one that I feel like might tie to the question of stress a little bit, even though it's not a stress relief book. It's called The Essentialist, or the Essentialism. And I was going to pull it up on my phone so I could get the exact wording in the author, but the premise of the book is really around, I think, in our lives, we chase a lot of, especially as entrepreneurs, we chase a lot of shiny objects. But so many times we end up moving these things like a million things a millimeter at a time. And it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to worry about. And the author takes this, I would say, contrarian viewpoint.
Greg McCohen?
Yeah, that's it. Greg McCune. Yeah. Is it the essentialist or the essentialism? Essentialism, right? So it's the art of doing less, right? So other people are saying do more, do more, do more. Grant Cardone, the 10X rule. There's these things that I really believe in about do more, do more, do more. But when you spread them over more than one thing, I actually think it causes stress. And if you can limit it and hone in on less, I actually think it's a very soothing idea to eliminate things that really, there's so many things in our life that we do that have no real impact on our lives, right? Maybe we follow the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the stuff doesn't have anything to do with our success. 80% doesn't have anything to do with anything, right? But 20, if you limit it down, there's certain things that are everything in terms of advancing the ball. And so in the book, it's like, stop saying yes to everybody that asks you for all this stuff. It's like it's the disciplined way of saying no. And here I am, the yes if guy. You can see up on the wall, I'm yes if, right? So I'm sitting here going, but whenever I listen to that book, it's almost like a stress relief for me, because I hear it and I'm like, even though I don't agree with everything that this man says, I agree with the overarching premise that laser focus is a lot better than a broad focus. Yeah. So anyway, to me, that's been a little bit of a stress relief for me. I have to add that.
How do you spell his last name?
M-C-K something.
M-C-K.
Greg McCune. So anyway, I would.
I have one. So,
Yeah.
So normally people would expect to ask, what are the qualities and behaviors of a successful entrepreneur? You've seen a lot of people, good and bad. What are the ones that are obviously bad? The qualities and behaviors of an unsuccessful that will lead to.
Interesting. So I'd say the first thing that comes to mind, I don't know of anybody who is successful who blames other people.
Right.
I feel like if there's one quality that makes for someone to be happy or successful, it's taking the responsibility for that and owning it, instead of looking to pass around the responsibility to other people. So I do see that in people that are they might be the smartest person, the best speaker, all these great qualities, but when I hear a little bit of victim come out, or a little bit of blame, my old boss, any of these things, so I definitely, that's something that stands out to me as somebody who's unsuccessful. On the other hand, I think another interesting question that that I'm trying to answer is maybe saying, what's the difference between the successful and the extremely successful. So I think that's an interesting thing, is what's the difference between people that build $100 million companies or $1 billion companies and those that sort of peter out at a few million, right? What's that difference? I think it's an interesting study. I interview a lot of entrepreneurs. I think that that's an interesting question, and I think there's something into the mindset. I don't know that I can tell when I meet somebody that which one they fall into, but I think looking at their behavior throughout the course of a small window, I think you can see the difference between the people who are just insanely. I think it's the ability to tap into the bad side of yourself, right? I think that's what it is. I think we all have a part of us that nobody knows about, that is almost animalistic in nature, and to be able to tap into that, it keeps you alive. In Afghanistan, it is the difference. If you can tap into that when you're trying to get from 50 million to 200 million, if you can continue to tap into that part of your persona that has killer instinct or whatever, I think that's the difference between the wildly successful and the people that just have a good, a nice life. And I don't think that they're better than us. I think that they're different. I think that there's a reason why there aren't, the Michael Dells that you mentioned, and these people, there's only a few, right? And I think that they do have some sort of incredible ability to tap into that dark side some way.
Mark, do you want to touch on the rock star entrepreneur kind of mentality? I think
So as from an investor standpoint, so where I invest, one of the things that people ask me all the time, super common question is, well, who do you like to invest in, right? So we talk about local, but I bet on the jockey over the horse. I bet on the entrepreneur over the idea. And there's one thing that I'd say I look for, an authenticity, which you sort of touched on a little bit, but I look even beyond that. I want to invest into somebody that can move the molecules, that can make things happen, that can persuade people, that have the ability to influence. I feel like so many entrepreneurs, where I see them stall out, if I'm going to invest, I want to invest into something that's going to grow and do well. So where I see people struggling in entrepreneurship is they're unable to move the molecules. They're unable to inspire others to run through the brick wall for them. They're unable to get the sales made. They don't bring that ability to get people to follow them. So almost like sales skills. So I think every one of them is different. So many of the entrepreneurs that come in looking for investment, they really know their product, but I don't believe that they can make other people fall in love with the concept and with their vision and with their leadership. So maybe, I say rock star. You may be a little country, you may be a little rock and roll, you may be a little hard rock, but they all have one thing in common. The rock stars all make you want to get up and move around a little bit. So I invest into those. That's where I go. And sometimes you can tell that from the first moment. Otherwise, other times it maybe take an hour or two. But typically, in a group setting, some people will hang back. But when you really get them talking about what's important to them in their life, if I can see them come alive, maybe we have something here.
So my question is, I'm so early on in the stages of all the entrepreneurship, right? And your memories of like your first business is probably quite distant from now.
Yeah.
With all the success you've had over the years, right?
Wow.
If you could apply all the knowledge and experience you have now, though, to that very first business, if you wanted to go back and make that as successful as possible, what would that look like? So what would you do, knowing everything you know now? What would you do differently? Did you focus too much on, too little on?
Good question. I think one of the things that I'd say the times in my life when I've stalled out in business, or probably anywhere else, is those periods of time when I didn't believe in myself. and maybe I even, I'm a kind of a good starter of things. And then sometimes they grow, and now, oh no, you know, I can remember growing and feeling like, oh, now I'm in a different level that I hadn't been in before, and almost feeling imposter syndrome in a certain way, right? Where it's like, wow, now I'm sitting here. I talked about this the other day on the show, where I had, you know, even like a fear of public speaking. And I can remember I had 12 video stores, and we had grown our security company to about 30 million. And so by all looks of it, and I'm in my early 30s, so by the looks of it, it's like, well, this guy's afraid of nothing. Well, I was good at surrounding myself with people that were good salespeople and that kind of thing, but I really had developed this thing of like, I'm sort of in over my head here. I was a video store guy. Now I'm sort of running an outside sales force, and I'm leading. I'm trying to manage managers and those kind of things. And I was really, I almost felt like I was posing. I was a poser in a way. And I think I went through a few years there where I really tried to manage from the ivory tower and let other people lead. And I led more from, I kind of managed from the press box, if you will, instead of getting down and doing what I do well, which is like getting the team to run through a brick wall. And I know that when I really, any success I've had, it's been when I got out of the press box, got out of the ivory tower, got in the trenches with confidence, made mistakes alongside my teammates in the trenches, and was a vocal leader. Those are the times when our company skyrocketed. So I'd say it was get comfortable in my own skin and get in the trenches and stay in the trenches. I wish I would have done that more consistently. But I suppose now it's a great lesson for me. So I guess I don't really have a regret. But if I would have to do it differently, just get in the trenches, man, and don't be embarrassed that you don't know everything, right? So anyway, get comfortable in my own skin. Short answer.
It's because I don't know. For once in my life, I'm at a point where I'm at a stage where I don't know what to do. So I'm really asking the question because I don't know. I've got a great product, I've done all the research, I've done all the analysis, I've done the engineering, I've done the manufacturing, I've got the product, have the product in hand, created a website, done the SEO, done all the website optimization, but I don't know. I'm at a crossroads, and the crossroads is, do I keep going down this path where I create a company and market it on my own? And I'll be honest with you, it takes time, money, and experience to market a product. You know that. Mm-hmm. Anybody that's marketed a product knows that. It's a unique skill. I'm an engineer. I'm not a marketing specialist. So the path is, do I go down that, keep it all to myself and do this on my own and work the hours? I've got no problem with that. Learn how to do everything it takes to take a product from a concept to get it into big box stores, or do I just license it?
How do we know that people, is there customer acceptance now? Do you have sales in this? You do. Okay, so how are you selling now?
Organically.
On our website.
Website,
how are people
And
the feedback is this is great. Short answer is we probably need more information to know what the best answer for you is, but I feel like every company needs somebody who's great on product, great on marketing, and great on finance. I feel like those are kind of like the building blocks. The product or the service, which is probably you, or the combination. Obviously, you've got some marketing here, but now we're talking about maybe a product that deserves maybe marketing expertise beyond but maybe what you have together. So a sales and marketing plan, and then obviously there's a finance component. But I always think of it that way. With this, it seems to me that these kind of products, we're invested into companies that, we're invested into. I'm thinking of Butter Babes. I'm thinking of other product type things that do well online, and they use influencer marketing. So, and I don't know, you thought one of the companies I'm invested into actually is an influencer marketing platform. So I don't know if you've thought about this, but if you had somebody famous who was doing a video about how she loves her loofah, people are influenced by that, and they end up buying and things like that. And there's a way to strategically use influencer marketers to grow sales. They can grow them on Amazon, you can grow them on your website, and you can do it where you hold on to 100%. There's affiliate agreements that you can do with these people. This is sort of a very fast growing part of marketing, is this influencer space. And there are a whole ton of influencers beyond the Kim Kardashians, the lesser known influencers that might be like, I don't know, really good at CrossFit or something, but they're attractive and they use this product. So
I would love to learn more about.
Or do you approach bloggers?
Yes, yes. We have our platform allows you to actually do a total
Like
search.
fashion bloggers?
Yes, we can search by everything to find the influencers and then we pair you up and say, okay, what's our? It's an interesting thought.
You guys reach out to me and I'll introduce you to the owner of that platform.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we can offer you through HaneyBiz marketing too.